After we're done with Coach Smith, and we've got the rest of the staff here, so those of you who want to talk to some of these other coaches, this will be a chance to do that today too. So, all right.
First off, thanks for coming. Year two, with our our new recruiting class coming in completely. I know we had an early signing period where we went over a lot of the players, but it was about finishing up this second phase of recruiting. I'd like to thank James Kirkland, our Director of Personnel, Pat Embleton, Nate McNeil, guys, Cam Skelding, guys that, in the recruiting personnel department did an outstanding job. Katie Oster also did an outstanding job compiling the names together and get us in a position where our coaches could go out in our recruiting areas and attack recruiting hard. We have a great product, great university. We're building, of course, on the football field, new facilities, so a lot of good things are happening around here to make guys want to get on board, which they did. Recruiting area-wise, we've identified some areas that we would like to have success in. Through connections, places that just make sense. First off, in the state of Illinois, a lot of great players around here, a lot of great programs. We'll always start from our home base here. We've mentioned St. Louis. This year we wanted to get into Texas, which we're able to do. Florida has really paid big dividends for us, as it did again this year. The Atlanta area is another area we wanted to touch on this year, and we're able to do that. This year, as I talk about our state, we signed 4 players from the state of Illinois, which is big. 1 from St. Louis, 8 from Florida, 4 from Texas. California, last year we brought 1 player, Bennett Williams, that had a lot of success with us. This year we're able to sign 5 more players from that area. So we touched on a lot of different places throughout the country, which led us to this class. Year 2, of 85 scholarship athletes, at least 50 of these players our staff has recruited. So we really feel good about the direction that we're headed. Again, it's the day to celebrate for us. As we finish up recruiting, spring ball is right around the corner, starting up the 5th, 6th in there. And again, we'll start improving our ball club from there. Our football coach, our assistant coaches that did the majority of the work are all here, and they'll be able to talk in detail about some of our players. Little things that most people maybe don't know about them, but they can go into detail a little bit more about our players. But again, we're excited about the class, and I'll take your question.
Coach, you made some changes just to how you ran recruiting. How did that go, and do you feel like it paid off the dividends that you want?
Now, what changes are you talking about that you would know about, Jeremy, anyway?
Well, to James, and we admitted
we did. We had, as I mentioned, James Kirkland. I've known James Kirkland for a long period of time, and as we initially came here, I wanted to get a guy that had spent most of his life evaluating players, and that's what we have in James. Every player that we end up offering, James looks like, he's okay with them. So we kind of start with that. But the first part is evaluating players. From there, we need somebody to really put together the recruiting efforts. And Pat Embleton does a great job with that. So we have a great working group down there that starts the process initially. But in the end, it comes down to how do you finish the job? And we have an excellent group of, not only are they great coaches on the football field, but selling our product, selling our program too.
Coach, you have 1 spot left, is that correct?
Coaching staff?
No, in terms of the scholarships.
Yeah, I know what you were talking about.
That's what
Yes, officially we have 1 other spot left, yes.
you have a plan for that, or?
Absolutely. Do you like me to go over that, please? Is that what you should have just asked that? Why don't you start off with that? How about Lovie? What do you plan on doing with that last spot?
Doing with the last spot?
We have a guy in mind. Once it's official with him, we'll announce it then.
Want to share the position or not?
I'm sorry?
You want to share the position?
I think right now we'll just wait until it's official, and then we can't really talk on anybody until they officially sign with us, but we'll do that then.
I don't have a question. I don't know why you hand me the microphone.
Lovie, with that one spot, does that stop you from going after transfer market or anything like that?
No, it doesn't. As you look at the numbers right now, there are a lot of other ways that you can kind of add guys going forward, moving things forward and things like that. We're constantly, it's an ongoing process to improve our ball club. So we still have options as we go forward. Whether it be through graduate transfer students that can't really leave until after this semester, we will have options with that too.
You played a lot of young, a lot of freshmen last year, and you have quite a few more coming in this year, obviously, with this class. How does some of these players maybe figure into your plans for the upcoming season? We
really liked last year's class before they got here, and it turned out that way with 15 of them being able to start and play football games for them. We feel like this is another strong class coming in. I think 2 or 3 of them played in the high school All-American game. A few of them have a few more stars behind their name than others, so it's a good class, and we think that as we went out to recruit, we talked to these players the same way. There's an opportunity for you to come in here and play, and we feel like that'll be the case again this year.
Well, you've changed the quarterback room a lot, and obviously it needed to be. What do these 3 quarterbacks add to your room, and what's that add to the competition room?
Of course, after we break up, Coach Smith will be able to talk in detail a little bit more about them, but what we would like at the quarterback position, of course, it comes down to what kind of guy, how accurate is it, can he throw the football, but we like to have a guy that can also buy time with his feet to be able to throw the ball, to take off and run if he needs to. We would like a more mobile quarterback at that position. We made that clear. I feel like we're able to get that. Of course, most of you have seen Karan Taylor and what he's been able to do. MJ Rivers, if you watch him on video, really Matt Williams also. If you look at all of the players that we're bringing in, I think you can say that about them. And of course, Cam Thomas, who we have right now. So that quarterback room is going to look completely different.
Coach, would you, over here, to your right.
To my right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're to my right.
Just looking at next year for your recruiting with the early signing period, would you change anything with how you attacked recruiting this year and the 2 periods?
Matt Robinson, it is. Let me go back. That what the guys were looking at.
We knew
I'm going to make a couple mistakes as we go through. One more time, would I change?
Yeah, would you change your approach to the early signing period and the regular one for next year?
First off, I love the early signing period. In an ideal world for me, I think if you're ready to get married, there's no limit. You should be able to do that at any time, right? So I think if you can even sign earlier, that's a good thing. But the early signing period I liked an awful lot. I think most people did too, by the amount of players that signed that early period. So as far as how we attack it, things will be pushed up. We'll have more guys coming on campus visiting us early, official visits starting earlier, using more during the course of the season. All those things we'll look at as we go forward.
Lovie, given that you now have 2 Hall of Famers that you developed at linebacker, several All-Pros, including your defensive coordinator, I feel you'd have a really good sell at linebacker. How do you think that sell is going, and what do you think of what you added at that position?
I tell you, a lot of people are going to jump on board with that developing. That sounds good when you say, hey, I developed 2 Hall of Famers. I wish that was the case. We've been fortunate, though, in our system to be around some great linebackers. Starting off with our the first great one I was around, I had an opportunity to be around, was our defensive coordinator, Hardy Nickerson. And so as you talk football linebackers, if you're a linebacker out there, we feel really good going in and talking to guys about how we can develop our linebackers here. And we hope that once the guys, yeah, it helps when you see the product. And of course this year when the product, pretty pumped up about Brian Urlacher going in and having for the guys looking at our system to have a chance to play in that same position that he played. That should, open your eyes a little bit. So hopefully that'll be the case, and we'll continue to get our type of guys that want to come in and be coached, number one, as a linebacker, coached by the guy that started it all.
Lovie, let's talk about staff a little bit. Were you able to use Kirkland on the road at all, or did you have anybody that you used on the road when you had a couple of openings, number one?
Yes, I'll jump in there right away.
Okay.
Yes, we did. I think we had about 3 slots open there for a period of time. So, yes, James Kirkland was able to go out for a while. I think we had about 3 or 4 guys that were able to. Pat Embleton went out for a while. And then we also, maybe Nate McNeil did too.
Can you give us as much as possible on your plans for filling out the staff?
Plans for filling out the staff. We're in the process. I know I've said that before, but we are. We feel like, maybe by tomorrow or so we can announce another one of our hires that for one of the positions. During this time we've had a chance to talk to a lot of outstanding football coaches that have a lot of interest in our program and what we're actually doing. So hopefully by the end of this week we can announce all of our hires a little bit.
Well, have you had a chance to reach out to Mike Fair and talk about what's happened in Indianapolis the last couple of weeks?
Well, of course, quite a few of us have talked with Mike Fair. First off, Mike Fair, I coached Mike Fair in college, so our relationship goes back a long ways. It's a little bit deeper than just on the same staff. So we have had a chance to talk with Mike. I know he's excited about the opportunity that he'll get and going into a whole lot of details. I'm getting normally I get the news about a day after. We've been kind of locked in with recruiting a little bit.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah. Sorry, Coach. The recruiting rankings, do you care about that stuff at all other than maybe, does it mean anything to you where you guys finished at, anything to you or not?
Well, not really, but I know that, last year we had an excellent class. I don't know exactly what that class was, how it was ranked. I feel like this class is just as good or better. I would say even better. So I don't know exactly how that would rank, as we go forward, how everybody else looks at it. But I know in our room and amongst our staff, as we talked about everything, we feel real good about this class coming.
And tell me about the jump you got on 19.
Well, it's just that. 19 and 20. That's what, in 2 years I'm learning on the job a little bit. It's an ongoing process. We have. Coach Ward, we talked to a guy on the way over here, right? So, that's ongoing, really. The last couple of weeks of this recruiting period, we were, getting ready for the 2019 class as much as we were finishing up this 2018 class.
Anything else for Coach Smith? All right, we have the rest of the coaching staff around the room.